Welcome to Tami's Soul Speak, featuring animal intuitive and medium Tami Hendricks, offering insight, spirituality, transformation, and clarity to every soul. Now, here's Tami.
Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I'm so glad you're here. It's a beautiful day here in Asheville, North Carolina, getting up to about like 62, 63 in the afternoon. So I'm looking forward to getting out some, and perhaps a bonus would be seeing some bears and white squirrels. I'm glad that you are joining today. It feels every time that we have a show, I can always feel it. Building and growing before, especially the week of. And yesterday, you guys and your animals showed up. I mean, there's a crowd with us right now. So, the fact that you show up physically on the show, your spirit and your animal spirits have already come in. And I can't wait to tell you in a minute about a dream I had this morning that validates just that. So, as you come into the room, this is a gateway right here. This is a gateway that I'm going to talk about, and we're gonna learn a lot about it. So, Jennifer, it's good to see you always and your gang. And hey, Kate, I see you're already coming in. And Pamela, wonderful to see you. And yes, Susie, yay, and Claire in the UK. I'm happy you're here too. I'm always happy to see who comes in, and where we all co-create together. Tracy, it's so good to see you. You've been on my mind too, actually, Tracy. You are quite the animal intuitive yourself. Cindy, it's good to see you. Oh my goodness, that's so nice, Cindy. I always look forward to them too. I'm like ready to like gather around the table so we can have some fun and learn and gosh, see what the animals want to tell us, because this particular show, I'm telling you, has an energy to it, and um, it, it's profoundly alive. So as you're coming in and you're getting settled, I'll talk a little bit about what a gateway is. So, your entrance into the show is actually a portal, a gateway. So, you consider entering the room together that we've created, our space and our time. We're creating the energy just as you're coming in, it's building. And so, what is happening in the few minutes that we spend is a transition point. It's a wonderful transition point. Our energies gather together to create a cohesive unit, and that is we entrain to one another. So, I have a question. In this virtual room that feels actually very personal and very like friends gathering, which we are, what is your energy? Scan and take a look. What is your energy you're bringing into the show? Would it be excitement? Would it be skidding to a stop because you've been busy, depending on what part of the world you're in? Um, Scan quickly and see, and then see if you can feel the energy of the room, our room together right here. And then let me know what you're feeling. I'd love to know your read on the energy of right now in the room where we are as you're coming in. And Lauren, always good to see you. You're bringing a whole lot of animals with you. Heather, yay, you and Birdie and the gang. We are in the house. I love that. So, what are you feeling? What are you feeling that we've created right now? I'll be quiet just a second so you can feel it. Jenny says, hopeful. And Barbara, grace and excitement. Kate, excitement, Lasha, and comfort in the room, energy. That's beautiful. A warm buzzing. So you're actually feeling that. That's great because that's like a true body type feeling. Um, Oh, Kat says, my energy is incredibly excited. And Susie, curiosity and anxiety. What's the anxiety about? I wonder. I wonder if you could dive a little bit more into that and read that. Susie, I'd be interested to see what you say. Oh, Katrina, it's good to see you. Compassion. Yes, Lucy, healing. And Janet, power. I like that. Lauren says lots of chatter. Oh my goodness, Lauren. The animals, they are busy today. Um, Enjoying everything around me, Heather says. And Deanna, good to see you. Curious and uh, let's see, what'd you say? And bringing all of self. Yeah, I want you all in the room. Susan says hopeful. All in the room. Isn't that great when we land? So, would you say at this point that the energy shifted from when just a minute or two ago when the show started to right now? Do you feel like it's landed? Like we're kind of, even if you're coming in a little bit later, do you feel like we've created kind of a bubble and a cohesive unit? I can feel it myself. It's a real soft, it's just such a lovely energy. And it's always good to note that in your own life, like where your transition points are in every day, because you have tons of them. So, energy changes from one thing to another. So in reality, there's no separation, no ending and beginning. It's actually one continuing energy, wafting and changing over and over again. And for example, as we've just experienced, it helps to understand that even when we come into a space together, we're entraining our energies. This is important to remember, as we go forward, because the animals do that. And if you think and extend a little bit on that subject, so do crowds. So do you're at a concert, the energy of the group entrains together. We vibe together. It's like we're all tuning forks that are vibing at the same time. But I want to share now that I feel like we're getting going. I have to share this dream I had this morning. So, in the dream, I'm with what I consider a guide. It's a man. He's tall, and I watch him, and he's going in between dimensions. And so I'm like super curious because he'd go through the dimension and then he'd come back through and go and come back. So I asked him. I said, "Hey, can I go? Will you take me?" And it was almost like he studied me a minute and he was like, "Well, like not supposed to do that, but okay." So he takes his right hand, takes my left hand, and we go through an energy portal. We step forward and we go through. And the best way I can describe it is um, it's wavy. It's real wavy. I would say swirling. Not that it would make you sick or anything. It's this powerful undulating energy, and then we pop out on the other side. And this is what I was referring to earlier when I said your animals have already shown up before we even landed right here. And I step out, and it's very, very clear. It's extremely, there's a crisp clarity to the scene, and we're outside, and all of our animals are there. A lot of them that have passed with me, your animals. So they pop up like they didn't know a visitor was coming, and they run over and they're like, "So glad to see you, so glad." And they all take turns coming over, and then the other ones who might have been doing something look up and go, "Wow, there's a person here. We didn't expect that." The welcoming I received from all these animals was excitement, which was and the clarity that I had. Other things dropped in that dream that I've been thinking about creating. I ended up, he took me back through the portal, and I could feel the contrast between those two worlds. It was tremendous. And so I have no doubt we are on the right track. I have no doubt that the portal discussion, the opening is exactly where we all need to be right now. And our animals are confirming that. So, whether you sent in a photo and a question of your animal, they were there, I promise you. And I can feel very strongly. We've got a lot, it's a crowd here. It's a huge crowd. It's a wonderful crowd. But I wanted to share that with you because it was so on point. And I hope that as we talk, you get to, I guess, feel what your own, where have I experienced a portal? When are my transition points? And so, this is going to be super interactive as always. So, entrainment, if we start, is like matching the vibration of our energies, right? The environment around us. So, when we say we're adjusting to a situation, it can loosely mean we're entraining to it. And we might say, after that, we have a harmonious whole. So, question, how long, and this is just, I'm truly am interested, how long do you think it typically takes in any gathering? Think of any gatherings you've gone to, family, church, anything, meetings at work. whether it's one, two, three people or a group, how long does you take, you think, for the vibrations to get in sync? Be curious to, um, know what that is for you because, my guess is we each have a different answer on that one. There's probably an average, but, just like we did right here, we can feel how we came in together and now we're here because you can feel it in the energy field. So look at your own life and see if you've experienced that without even noticing. I know for me, if I give an example, when I would go to the furniture store, for instance, and I would leave, I would always, my animals came with me or my kids, and so we'd go back. But that was that transition point between the two worlds. You could feel, me. I could feel myself adjusting. You know, the moment where I'd been at work was over. I was in a new moment. I had stepped into a new moment. So for each of us, I guarantee you have a feel of that. Jennifer says automatically, and Susan says the same thing, instant. And Kate says depends, 15 minutes. I think I think what you'll start doing is noticing where your own transition points are and where you are actually in training to the moment. Janet says, "It starts before I step into a space with others." I agree, totally. Um, I think even like with mothers and even before uh, they become pregnant, that mother energy is already entering the room. So it's really helpful, I think, in life to be able to recognize that in yourself. So, question: have any of you noticed a portal today? Now, it might be early in your day. Um, have any of them been with animals? It might be later in your day. Claire, have you had any portals that you can tell these transition points with your animals? I'd be curious to know because this is a very in the moment show, as you know. Um, so the animals are in training us to be better humans. Yeah, but we're all in this together for sure, right? We're all in this together. Tracy said, depends on whom I'm meeting with. Like attracts like. Immediately, others sometimes I just don't sync. Well, I agree, and you can feel that, right? Can't we all feel that when we don't sync up with people we're with, or even the animals? Like maybe you're visiting somebody, and the animal that they have is just not in sync with you, and you can feel it. Um, Animals can feel it with other animals too. So, in my experience, and I learned this over and over, when a new family member joins, like a new animal, or one leaves, that's a portal. That's an entrainment piece. Um, and I would watch as some would come in, like if I would have a new one come in, and especially if I rarely knew it, it was usually in the moment. I did have an instance where a dog named Magic was coming, and about 3 weeks before I knew he was coming, I talked to the labs, talked to everybody on like group meeting. Magic's going to be coming, and these are the rules. It's the welcome committee, and we're very kind. That's how we roll here. And so I put his photos up on the wall so they could see who he was and get to know him. And I did that for about 3 weeks off and on whenever I was around him. And it's interesting because when he finally did come, even though he wasn't going to be hanging out with these particular ones, I brought him in and they all laid down in a line. It was about five or six of them, and they watched me bring him in. Not a peep, not a bark, and they already knew he was coming, and so I prepared the energy field for that by including them in the details, basically what's going down in our home, and this is going to be changing. And so, if you've ever rescued a shelter animal, for instance, I've always said what I've observed is it takes them about it takes them about 2 weeks to just in train. They're still in process, but after that 2-week period of, the shedding some layers and just getting adjusted to this new world, there's something that clicks after 2 weeks that allows for more healing then to come in a different way. But that first 2 weeks is definitely like recovery period, going from one thing to another. And it's important that I think, um, honor that process with animals as we honor it with ourselves, and we don't expect them to be too much. Um, we don't expect them to have to be something. In other words, they can be who they are, and they are allowed to blossom in that way. Um, Deanna says, I did the good morning to all the crew there, and on the other side, definitely portal open and all join me. Yeah, you can feel it, and this show is growing and we're growing, and the more we're open and inclusive of that, yeah, we're on quite the energetic ride together, and so I love that your animals are coming forward. Susie says, my cat this morning was so calm, maybe preparing me for a day at the shelter. Probably. And that takes Susie quite a bit of presence, actually, doesn't it? To go into all the different energies of that shelter. I've done that too, and uh, it's almost a spiritual practice, I would say, to remain calm in the presence of so many energies that are probably not necessarily entrained to one another. But if you can bring presence to each and every experience in your daily life like that, the gift you give is incredible. It's spiritual. It is a wonderful spiritual gift. So I'm really glad you do that, and that helps you with the cats as well. Claire says, when we adopted our collie, it felt almost immediately. Bronnies felt like it happened before we met, if that's possible. Absolutely, that's possible. They come in way before sometimes and give you the heads up, like, "Hey, I'm coming. By the way, this is what my name is, and I'm looking forward to being with you." It's a really wonderful thing to be, I guess, aware of. So we're actually in the time of year where many, many transitions are in process, comings and goings, shifts, life changes that happen in the moments of our lives. A lot of it's not easy, right? A lot of these shifts and these transitions are kind of wake up calls, or they're sudden. But I wanted to point out, especially like we're in this heading toward the end of the year, uh, getting ready for the new year. It's like all the energies are lining up. And if we are aware of that, then we can ride that wave even more. And Renee, if you would put up, I have a little like transition um, statement that I wanted to share with you, and just so you could see it. But transitions and shifts, let's say they're interchangeable, are healing gateways in progress. So you think about that for a minute, and you think about when you think of the word transition, what do you think of? I bet something immediately pops up in your head. Or you think of shift, like a life shift. What are we talking about? And I would say a lot of us don't view this as like healing gateways in progress. I know I haven't always. Tracy says growth. She thinks of growth with transitions. Um, Addie says change. Hmm. Hmm. Always change. That energy is always changing. Um, Jennifer says someone passing away. I would totally agree. Transitions. And so we can look at that and see it a number of different ways. We can look at it and see it as a terrible event that happened and how it really hurt. And, we go through the grief. But we can also look at it as soul growth, which is what it is. For us, for the animal, the person, it's soul growth. It signals that the soul's growing, and it's our it's a sign that's right in front of us that signals that we all have to keep growing. And if we don't, if we resist it, life is wonderfully supportive and helping us kind of keep growing there. I know all of you have experienced the growth by the 2x4. I know I have. Karen says she thinks of transitions. She says healing. Yep. Kate, shift, expansion in a positive way. And Susie says, learning to accept ways that a life moves on to the other side, or leaning into either way. Yes, I agree. We tend to fight situations, we resist them, and our resistance kind of slows it down. It may be a process we have to go through, and nothing, there's no judgment there. It's just that's part of our process. But on the other side of the portal called resistance, right? Like I went in that dream through the portal, there's clarity. So the resistance has its purpose. Um, Kat says Ben's passing was a gift, and that was her son. She said it wasn't one I was able to see for the first 2 years, but I'm now grateful for the experience. That is profoundly, it's a profound statement, and that's a profound insight. And I think that's really what the portals help us with is the healing would be the insight, right? The healing would be different perspectives. Um, Anne Marie says, love the idea of soul growth. The animals have shown me time and time again that when we hold them back, like we're so knee deep in grief, right? And we just can't move on. We miss them. We can't move off that space. The animals have shown me that they can't actually move forward as much either. That they, when we all grow, if I use an analogy, Dr. Christian Northrup years ago in some documentary, I loved the analogy of that, like, our house, our life is a house with different rooms. And as we grow, we go to different rooms. And every time we look, we go to another like stage. Let's say we're kids, we look back and we're looking for some cheerleader, right? Somebody that has believing eyes, somebody that's like, yes, you can do this, go on, we got this. But if we turn around to see who's watching, to see who our support, group is, and the person is seized and crying, please don't leave, we carry a piece of that with us. We still have to go on with our own lives, but we carry a piece of that. So I always, in thinking with animals and talking to my clients, if you are ready for growth, is it okay that they are too? And so it's something that you just have to really wrap your heart around, and it's a deeper understanding. So, you know, why would the time of year matter? Why would now be more shifts, more transitions? Um, the energy configurations from November, it started October, it already started clipping up. Energy configurations contribute to the ease of transition for spirit, and our own transformations because heart our heart portals open up. Think about it for a minute with, say, Thanksgiving, when it is a collective energy we all participate or at least know of, right? And we all have different experiences with that. But that is actually a heart portal opening for people. It's bringing people together. Uh, it's 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 causing compassion to come to the surface in a more profound way. And then, you know, if we go to the holidays, however you celebrate it, it's the same thing. Those are like energy configurations. And it's easier for a soul to exit on the wave of that kind of energy all the way to Easter of the next year. All the way, because the energy is really high vibration. Even like I said, if you don't celebrate those, that we swim in a collective energy field, right? Whether we can feel it when we go out in the grocery store, even. So animals are definitely part of this universal consciousness. In fact, animals are always in on it. And I will continue to say, spirit comes in on cue. Let's say birth, right, and leaves on cue, and let's call it death. And so it's never a random occurrence, and it's always for spiritual growth. So, Renee, if you'd pop up the Rainbow Bridge graphic, I want to share. So, I shared this in another show, but I wanted to share it again because it has to do with portals. So, take a look at that. You see animals going toward the Rainbow Bridge and animals coming back our way. It it's the Rainbow Bridge being a two-way street. It's form to spirit, spirit to form, and that's that energy portal, that wave that we keep going in and out of. And we don't often think of that. We think of it as one way. So Renee, if you would share the next graphic, I thought you'd like cartoons. So I know in my life, I've had animals come that, and not, as you as we all get together and I tell you stories, um, it's often been sudden. I've had to adjust very quickly, but they come through an energy portal, and it's always it's a gateway. If not to sound too sci-fi with a portal, but gateway, opening, juncture point, whatever brings to mind is a doorway, right? An entrance. So that's they come in through a portal, and it has to do with how supported, whatever the time of year it is, whatever we're going through ourselves. Now they're very active, so you're going to probably notice more and more of these in your own life if you hadn't already. So, you know, personally, I've always been fascinated by life and have noticed that moments are very alive. And so many of us live in our heads. They're always taking in data and information rather than being aware of the moment we're in. And if you think about it, animals, and I know you could answer this in a second, where do animals live? Do they live in the past, the present, or the future? And Renee, if you'd put up, I've got a cute little slide for you. Take a look at that. The humans are so attached to this. Maybe treats will come out. Animals, yes, Susie. Even in shelters, right? They live in the present moment, in the moment. They actually teach us how to do the same. We're not that great at it. We are here in our show right now because I can feel your presence. I can feel the animals, and the animals are like corralling us in, like, we got to help these humans. I mean, how many animals have you seen on a cell phone, right? So what we need to practice more of for connecting more with our animals and ourselves is just that presence. And so what's really interesting, if you start to take a look at the moments you're in, let's say they're snapshot moments, let's call them that. Then every moment is a gateway, a transition point. It gets very interesting. There are beginnings and endings contained in the whole. So, what words would you say we use to describe? I named some. The phenomenon called like portal, energy portal, but what I described in my dream. What other? I named openings. What is Sedona famous for? And Mount Shasta. And I actually think Asheville is the East Coast version of that. If you've ever been to Sedona, you have felt these portals, pathways, um, the vortex, right? It's a vortex. So in life, what do you think creates? Yep, Susie, I agree. What do you think creates a spirit portal? Like, for instance, if you have a storm, do would you say there's an opening or fluctuation in the field that the storm creates, and that it um, opens up for us? Like, think about how the rain gets rid of the pollen, and then after it's so beautiful. Um, the two worlds are closer than you think, and they're always interacting. So an opening or an energy fluctuation in the veil, it allows two worlds to kind of communicate. And if you're aware enough, if you're curious enough, you get shown, and it's pretty amazing. So portals reveal themselves in presence. When you encounter a portal in your own life, a transition point that you can feel, you also encounter your own presence, your own awareness, that your own being connected to all of life. It's one of the most beautiful built-in life tools that we have always in front of us every day of every moment of our lives. So I'm curious, now that we're on the like opening portal talk, can you think of buildings that would be natural energy portals? I can think of a couple, but I'm interested if you think, what would be a natural portal that is a building we could all agree that this would be? And locations, right? That we just talked about. Or what about, the natural phenomena that I just mentioned? Storms, hurricanes, whirlpools, rainbows. I mean, look at what that wasn't there a big a double rainbow over Windsor Castle after Queen Elizabeth passed, and it was like we all got to witness this amazing portal. Uh, Lauren, I hadn't thought about that one. Eiffel Tower. Yes, yes, that definitely. Addie, waterfalls, totally, absolutely, 100% a portal, an energy opening, especially if you go behind it, right? If the waterfall, a teepee, yeah, you're right. Actually, Susie says, pyramids. Judy says, Katrina agreed. Ocean, mm-hmm. NYC, the 9/11. I don't know if you pool or portal. Deanna says mountains. Yeah, see, you're already aware of this, which I love because the animals are always trying to get us to be more present and to help us. I know, go deeper in our lives. So, what about a hospital? Do you think that carries portal energy? Lisa said Rome, Colosseum. Yep. Clouds, Sharon says. Katrina Woods. Absolutely. Sky and clouds. Yeah. Don't we all love like all these things you're listing? They give us a feeling and a sense of presence. Jennifer said, yes, a hospital would be. What about a funeral home? Portal containing many portals? A few? Sunrise, Heather says. The Bermuda Triangle. You're right. I hadn't thought churches. Absolutely churches. 100%. I agree. Um, so in your own life, memories are your gateways that lead to the connections in your life. Gateways, portals lead to the trail of your own life story. So what do we all share in common? What? We all have two things for sure in our lives. We all have memories, right? What about stories? Do we all have stories? I mean, of varying kinds, starting with when we are young and we start collecting identities. Um, Susie says hospitals are a place where many pass over and funeral home where spirit is around before passing over. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Jennifer asked, "Can your home be a portal?" Absolutely. Your home's an energy space. This room I'm in is an energy space. We're in a virtual energy room, right? And you can feel it. So yes, absolutely. An entrance to another, I don't know, energy dimension, and it can be very, very subtle. Um, so the stories and memories serve as pointers to an even greater mosaic. So your life story reveals your soul map. So I wanted Renee, if you put the soul mapping slide up, um, I want to share something with you because when the animals have entered and exited my life, I've always noted, and I teach this to clients, pay attention to what's going on in your life and around the event. It could be traumas, it could be with animals. We all have lots of stories of different things, right? Um, as you're looking at that, yeah, mirrors, music, yes, 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 concerts, yes, schools, yes, Barb, totally. Absolutely, schools. Isn't it fascinating once we start looking at it? So the stories and memories uncover that the point is to uncover your life's journey. So if you're up for it, I'd love to do a fun exercise with you that you can. This is a you know do it a little on the show, and it can unfold later in your world as you if you're interested in continuing. So Renee, if you would put up, I want you to be able to read along when I'm going over this. And so start out by now that we're all in this great energy space together and the animals are present, imagine you're in an inner observation deck, aka your heart. But it could also you could imagine a space or a room, even a deck where you're overlooking your life. So get comfortable. This is your inner sanctuary. It's where all your memories live and they're rich with information. So take a moment to invite whatever gateways, events, experiences, Renee, if you would put that up as while I'm reading, you've encountered to step forward for you to see and remember. Just take a moment. Invite whatever events and experiences you've encountered to step forward. This isn't a quiz. You don't have to squeeze and try to figure it all out. You're just inviting. An invitation is a gentle energy. So this energy is always present. This energy of like a pilot light burning within you. It is the actual intention to invite that activates it and makes the flame even bigger and brighter. Now, why is that important? Is because in any animal communication, and heck, for people communication too, it's the invitation to collaborate. It's the invitation to work together. It's a gentle, yes, I'd like to speak to you. And so, what we're doing right now is we're asking the events that want to be present for this time together to step forward. And Renee, if you would put the hot air balloon. So this may be, as the memories come forward, like hot air balloons floating in a blue sky. Let's just imagine each balloon representing an event and a memory. So invite your subconscious, ask your inner self, your higher self, your intuitive self to fetch the events and memories and bring them to you. And in your Soul Speak notebook that I think you might have at this point, and if you've been on any shows, see if you can capture, and I see some of you already writing in the comments, see if you can capture short words, phrases, sentences, along with any time periods, dates. It doesn't have to be, it does not have to be complete sentences. In fact, when it's coming, you may not get anything but a blip here and there. So again, this is not a test. It's a gentle inviting of an energy so we can help understand what the mosaic of our life is. So it can be any memory, any event that captured your heart's attention. And don't try to get all the details. You can fill those in later. That is known as AKA Tami homework. So for the sake of our time together, you may only have a few come through. Perhaps they come quickly and you can't grab them all. That's fine. Trust me, this energy's there. You can tap into it at any time. So review your list, whatever came through. Did the memories come in sequence? Did they drop in haphazardly? Take a look at it. Which ones stand out? Did any of them involve animals where they were coming and maybe passing? And Renee, if you'd put that up so they could see that as well, the review your list. Do the memories come again in a sequence, or did they come in order, or did they drop in a haphazard way? Again, any of them, like, are they highlighted? That's one way I can tell intuitively if I'm needing to look at something. It's kind of like a highlighter. It's brighter to me. And did any of them involve animals? And so the next part of that review your list is note the importance it had in your life. What was the impact and why? And where were you and what were you doing in your life at the time that occurred? I love your sharing. Susie said, my parents, family, pets, nephew, accomplishments in my life. Tracy says, a giant stuffed unicorn, a swinging, not in order, dropped in. Kat says, very haphazard this time. And animals are almost entirely, it was present. Normally, I would have also have points with family, but all of them involved animals at this time because we are we are in the animal room together, and it's very, very overlit. I feel that this portal in my dream is what we've stepped into in this show, and that's why they may be floating through. So let me share what I did when I did it. So I, was just doing spirit gateways and portals. So what came to mind first was my first pet, Ginger. I was about 6. I'll go back through these real quickly just to share the importance that I had with them. My father passing at 19 years old, my mother passing at 25 years old, and then my 3 children, definitely juncture points. Murphy, my white lab, coming in April 2004, and my sister passed in late 2004. Katie came in 2005, Puppy in the Bushes, right? And then Katie passing July of 2019. These are just a few that stepped forward when I was doing this, and it was dropping in. And so my first pet, Ginger, if I had to describe the importance, she came in. I felt safe for the first time. She had mother energy, and she taught me that the animals were my closest friends. And so my father passing at 19 while I was in college, it was my first experience with human loss. It was my first experience with the ending of a true relationship and the beginning of new ones. My mother at 25, I had a true realization how sacred the mother child and mother daughter energy is, realizing the importance of what matters most. And then all 3 children, too many even points to mention, right? True juncture points of personal growth, allowing me to experience myself as a mother, integrating and applying the best parts of both my parents as my children grew. And then Murphy coming in, uh, he was kind and compassionate, very grounding, safe and secure energy, very Dalai Lama of dogs. He would shore me up for what was to come that I didn't know was coming, right? So 6 months later, my sister passes, and it's sudden and it's tragic. And it brought up tremendous family grief for me. Like I was grieving 3 people at one time when I would have said I was already like, oh, I already went through that. Mm-mm. Nope. So I was knee deep in a tar pit, actually, of grief that I couldn't get out of. This would be the start of many inner awakenings. Um, Katie came in September 2005. I was still knee deep in grief. I could not pull myself out. Nobody knew this, by the way. Um, and when I went to the bushes to get her, I could feel she needed help. I believe somebody had dumped her, but she waited in the same spot all day long because I had people say, "Well, I saw that puppy at 7:30." When I touched her and she put her head on my shoulder, which she would do throughout the course of her life, my heart space spontaneously burst open from the terrible grief that had covered me. Healing began in earnest. And this was healing of lifetimes of grief, lifetimes of, you know, family, that left and circumstances that I couldn't help. And Katie passed in July 2019. I felt the loss of a true soulmate and an equal. But before she passed, she let me know that we would continue working together as a team. And since then, and I've shared this with you, I've had several encounters with Katie. She comes in with me a lot. Well, a lot of them do on sessions, and they join other animals in helping. And so my work with people and animals actually took a huge leap forward at that point. And so Katie's energy, even now as I share this, continues through the many gifts she shared not only with me, but with others. And to say Katie speaks is an understatement even now. So that's what I was saying with this exercise. Do you see what all came through? And that was just in a half dozen points in my life, but the animals always come in on cue and they leave on cue. So this exercise actually created like a scaffolding for your own soul map. The understanding of the map may come as you fill in the details, like I did. First, I just wrote down things that were coming. And that, the understanding includes the details, whatever was orbiting in your life at the time. And I'm seeing as you're sharing, you've really tapped into this beautiful energy. The loss of my beautiful sky chow, Janice says, yes, these are the big moments. But when we look into our snapshot moments, um, They were all energy portals. They were all part of the tapestry that connects with each other to create this beautiful soul map called your life. And our animals are always entwined with that. They're always on it. Um, Claire says, dancing as a child, leaving home for London, professional training, coming into my own, my parents' divorce. Oh, all of those you could take them like I did a little further to just try to do the dates. What age was I, when my sister passed, and everything came up and shocked me. I thought, I was like, this is terrible. Um, Kate says Guido, of course, showed up in many memories. Yes. Tracy says unicorn, surprised, amazed that I had enough value to receive such a gift. Mm. Swing where I found peace, solitude, was safe, my authentic self. Do you see how life actually guides us? Life actually is in cooperation. The animals coming and going, why they came, why they left at a certain time, where we get stuck on why did you leave? And like I said in the earlier part of the show, where we're talking about, if our life is full of rooms, our animals too, they want to look back and say, did I do a good job? Did you love having me? And is it okay if I grow on? I want you to grow on too. Can we grow on together? And so that's the subtle part of the poignant beauty, I would call, with death and transitions, endings, beginnings, all in the same moment. Because if you think about the death, we're ending a certain period, but we're also beginning another. Lisa says, the loss of my brother, 6/9/2002, definitely. Um, all of you have such profound experiences. My dog with my dad, Wendy says, before he died. Yes, you can take each of these that you've listed and dive a little deeper on your own into this. And I would not be a bit surprised if more don't come flooding in, or they might be floating around like the hot air balloon. Um, you know, our tapestry is made up of individual like pixels, right? Those snapshot moments that we see as separate, but they're actually not. Even our time together, we're creating an energy map, a soul map for the show. Um, and so I love that you participated like this, because it was such a powerful, it's such a powerful topic, and it's so important that we actually know, when am I in a transition point? When am I coming into a space? How do I enter spaces? How do I leave spaces? How do I handle beginnings? Just note to self, we're pretty good at beginnings, right? Most of us, we like beginnings. We like beginnings. We do those pretty well. Would you agree? It's the endings that we're not so good at, right? We're not as it's a portal too, but a lot of times we end relationships in very traumatic ways, very dramatic ways, ways which will have to take years. Some of them are easier than others, but we how we relate to endings actually reveals how we deal with life and death, because we get those beginnings and endings in each moment. And so I'd love to hear with as you go forward in letting me know where you connected the dots for your animals coming in, and being so grateful. I know I didn't want to lose any of mine. Trust me. It's not any easier for me than it is for you, and I honor whatever grief I feel. And I remember my mentor Sharon told me one time she had a cat named Lily, and Lily helped her create the flower essences that she would go on to help animals and humans with. And she said, Tammy, I just sat down on my bed and I wailed. So it's important we honor that piece in ourselves and we don't try to push that away. So that's part of the transition energy. Susie says, I know without a doubt my Bella transitioned in order to make room for Stella in my life. Stella has a soul essence of Bella too. I would agree, Susie. My son noticed it last night. He said, Mom, she's Bella, but she also has a human familiarity. And the more we're aware, the more they get to show us. I love that because, it's one of those things we always have right in front of us, and we don't see some of the things that are right in front of us. Um, so, Barbara says, my life changed so much when I could finally have animals as a teenager. I was lost before that. I totally get that. Animals as guides, totally. We all need that help. So I hope you like that exercise. I know I don't know, when I did it myself, it connected me to me. It connected me to the wholeness of who I am. It connected me to the animal kingdom in a way that I'm like, "Thank you so much for being part of this journey that I've been on and will continue to be on." So always notice the beginnings and the endings, and see if you can capture the soul mapping in progress in your life. So, Renee, I've got so many questions to answer, and I'm going to get to as many as I possibly can. And what I want you to know is, if you have sent in a photo and question and you don't see yours answered, a lot of times the way that they organize themselves is you actually do get your question answered by hearing somebody else's. So there's always benefit, which is why I like for you to share in the photos and the questions so that we can all intuitively tune in, because we're all part of that same soul family, right? So, Renee, if you wouldn't mind running the first slide. So, Heather had posted this, and I just think it's wonderful, and I wanted to share with you. This morning, we noticed about 6 to 8 bluebirds flocking in our crepe myrtles in our backyard. They were going in and out of the bluebird box that I've had up for many years. Bertie and I put it up together when we moved into this house. Georgie and Ollie and I were watching for over an hour with the tree filling up with the bluebirds and going in and out of the bluebird house. It was interesting, a feeling of warmth and happiness. It's the only way I can explain it. Now, mind you, I did 3 Post-it notes around the house, like what you told me to do. On our last show, we talked about doing that exercise that is a way to communicate. Was Bertie trying to tell me something? Both Ollie and Georgie stared at it as it was going on. It was amazing, beautiful feeling. Gosh, there's so many portals here. What a beautiful sharing of that, and noticing and just being in awe of the moment. The fact that you stepped into that space of the bluebirds was definitely a portal, and it was definitely a message from heaven. Totally, that your animals, other animals, your family members were witnessing that. A lot of times we get to see things through the eyes of our animals that we would otherwise miss. So you didn't. You caught that they were staring at it. They were actually taking in the energy of it. I get this sense of being transfixed. And I love that Birdie, no pun on the name there, came in the form of these beautiful bluebirds. She is an enormous, communicator, and loves, loves, loves when you notice it as well. And I see that communication only deepening with you, Heather. Thank you for sharing that. That was very nice. Hi, Donna. This is Donna. Um, I miss my Susie so much and want to know, is she okay? And does she miss me as much as I do her? I want to know, has she tried to connect with me? I'm so afraid I will miss it. I want to know that she is around and near me. Susie has a remarkable story. If you Google Susie's story, it's she went through quite a bit as a puppy and was treated very, very horribly. And Susie went on to be this amazing teaching soul, just like Donna is, and has caused a law to be enacted, for cruelty with animals. So to your questions, Donna, Susie is ever present. I heard effervescent too in your life, and feels so proud of what she did in her lifetime, what you both did together. It was nothing short of um, and a massive, kind of a massive spiritual movement and opening for people to become more aware of animals. She says she was and is an ambassador, and she will continue to speak through you. So I would highly advise to connect with her, and I start writing. Just see if you can write letters to her and let her write letters back. That is one of the easiest ways to connect with our loved ones in spirit, and it's something we all know how to do is write a letter. We become our own communicators through our hearts. So absolutely, she's around you, but I want to also share that she is visiting the show as well. She is around us as well. Thank you so much for your question. So Pam says, "This is my Sophie May and Lucky Boy cat that she helped raise Lucky Boy since he was 2 weeks old. Sorry, they were so bonded, or are so bonded. They're 12 and 7 years old. He was found in my partner's warehouse, and his litter mate was deceased, and mother nowhere to be found. So home he came and went to work with me every day as I'm a vet tech. He still follows her around, thinks she was his mama. Oh my goodness. You know what? 100% portal entry and exits at the same time, where it was absolutely meant for you know him to be found and meant to grow with a family, to learn about family. There was no coincidence here, none whatsoever, that he came to be part and work with you at such an important job with other animals. We all get our guides and helpers, and it doesn't matter it does not matter the form they show up in. It's always amazing to really, I guess, appreciate whatever form it is. Thank you for sharing, because that's a portal entrance. And, the exit of the mom allowed for that space to become visible to everybody. So everybody participated in that one. And so Karen says, it's almost been a year since Sky transitioned first, December 2021. I may be getting a new pup in a few weeks. The sadness of Sky not being here washes over me, but I feel as if Sky is sending the new pup my way. How does she feel? Is it the right time? I always feel that our animals help guide the next ones to us. I know in my case, I've had many, many confirmations of that. And there's always this watching out for the next one to come through. And I think I've shared this probably before with you, but after one of my sessions with somebody, I went on a bike ride and I thought the session was over, but it wasn't. Is the animal decided that I needed to share with his mom some more messages, and what came through was the game of Red Rover, and so right over. And if you don't know what that is, you must Google it. But basically, where you line up on either side, let's say 8 people on either side, 8 kids, and then you say Red Rover, said Tammy right over, and then Tammy would run across and join that gang, right? Join that line, and it would go back and forth. Think the Rainbow Bridge on that one. So absolutely, I get the strongest sense that this new pup is definitely. I hear landing pad. I hear coming. Oh, coming in for a landing, I'm told. And, you know, I just now, like, looking at that and what I'm saying, this should be very much confirmation, especially given Sky's name. And I'm hearing landing pad and uh, coming in. So I would totally trust it. And I would totally bring Sky in on it and say, thank you so much. I miss you so much. And I want you to be part of our family. You never have left our family. So thank you for helping me welcome another one coming in. Our family and our hearts are just growing larger. So I hope that helps. It's quite beautiful. So Jody says, I miss my Rocco every day. This was truly my soulmate. I still feel so guilty because I didn't know he had cancer and pushed him to walk. This guilt disturbs me every day. I would have done anything to help him and relieve the pain, but I truly didn't know. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Jody, because I too have been in these situations. And what I have found a lot of times is animals, they show you what they want you to see, basically. And we can't see something until it's ready to be seen. No matter how we try to strain our eyesight, if it's not ready to be seen, it can't be. So trust that you saw it when you knew, and he was part of the walking piece. He was part of his soul was part of that journey with you. And so the guilt that you feel disturbing you, he's wanting to release you from that and say that he feels no like remorse over that or regret. And I don't know why, but I'm seeing like a rubber band being stretched. So it feels like he's grown and you've grown, like your rubber band has expanded and you have a different perspective, he says. So he says, let that guilt go. Let it go. Now I'm seeing a kite. He was like, let it go like you'd let a kite go in the wind. And he said, it has served its purpose, but it does not need to continue to disturb your daily moments. And I believe if you are able to work with that and release and know that he's he's wonderfully part of your life still, then this is going to be truly transformative for you, especially as we round out and head toward the new year. Well, as always, I always run out of time and I always enjoy our time together. Uh, our moments are sacred, sacred snapshot moments. I'm always appreciative that you decide and you come in and you join me. It's an honor to have you here. And so I look forward to the next show and the next time. And who knows what the topic will be? That's to be determined, and the animals will let us all know. So if you have anything, drop in on that. Feel free to email me at Tami@TamiHendricks.com. And if you ever want a personal session with me where we can dive deeper and really go into these pieces, I do private one-on-ones, and they are wonderful experiences for you, for me, for the animal, and it's always an honor. So we're going to have a little like gap between the next show. The next show is November 30th. That'll give the animals really time to work up a great show. So please come back, and always, always, let's keep the conversation going.
You've been enjoying Tammy's Soul Speak featuring animal intuitive and medium Tami Hendricks.